It didn't have to be like this. It really didn't. It didn't have to be like this. If only he would have agreed to follow a few simple rules. It didn't have to be like this. What would our world be like if he had lived a little longer, touched a few more lives, healed a few more people, maybe taught us all a little more? It didn't have to be like this. They weren't bad rules. They were in the interest of the common good. Don't heal on the Sabbath. It was intended to keep holy the Sabbath. He could have healed the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. Don't touch the lepers. That's just common sense. It prevents the spread of disease. And the thing about stoning the woman caught in adultery, maybe it seems a little excessive, but that had been the law for 2,500 years, and it had been an effective way of ensuring the purity of the bloodline. And the whole thing about mixing with tax collectors and prostitutes and Samaritans and all of the people who were outcasts, it may have seemed petty, but it kept the social order. And then there was the whole thing about forgiveness. He didn't have to go around forgiving people. He didn't need to take that upon himself. There was a specific ritual in place. Anyone who wanted forgiveness could go to the temple, pay the tax, see the priest for the prescribed purification ritual, and offer the sacrifice, just like everyone else. He didn't have to do that. If only he had followed the rules. If only he had stayed in bounds. But he had this thing about mercy and compassion. And he lived and believed that love and dignity of every single human person was more important than the rules and the regulations. And it's not that he ever said the rules weren't important. He just lived in a way that made love the most important thing. If only he had followed the rules. But people seem to like this message. It stirred them up. They started to follow him. And they started to call him things like the Anointed One, Son of God, and the one that got him in trouble, King of the Jews. He never called himself any of these things. Others did. People who witnessed and experienced the deep and profound loving compassion and forgiving mercy that he so generously shared. They called him these things. They encountered him and held him up. But why didn't he just follow the rules? It would have been so much easier for himself, for his friends, his disciples, his family, his mother, us. And then there was that incident in the temple with the money changers. He crossed a line. He went too far. There was no turning back at that point. And those guys were just trying to make a buck. Is that so bad? They were just doing what people do. Certainly what people did at that time. Yes, they may have extorted some money from the poor in that process. Yes, the system may have been a little corrupt and unjust. But you know what? It worked. It kept the peace. He ticked off the wrong people. He upset the wrong people. Because his heart was too big. He loved too much. That was his downfall. He loved too much. He made compassion and mercy more important than everything else. He made love more important than the law. He made it more important than the economy. He made it more important than the social order. He made love and forgiveness the most important thing. He made love a God, and he made God love. And for that, he was crucified.